continue to monitor what's happening on the Senate floor. But we just heard very contradictory statement from the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. On the one hand, he said that the former President Donald Trump behaved disgracefully. He committed a dereliction of duty. He was morally responsible, practically responsible for the January 6th riot that developed.
We're playing a little Magic the Gathering.
At the same time, he voted not guilty. He voted not guilty despite the fact that what he was saying sounded very much like what the House impeachment managers were saying. A very contradictory statement from the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell.
You try and keep her up, everything.
At the end, he did say that Trump still potentially could face punishment. He said that there is a criminal justice system in the country, and Trump now is a private citizen. Potentially, he could face some sort of criminal justice. The former president, he said, is a private citizen. It's interesting that 7 Republican
lands.
senators, and we can put their
There's
pictures on
another. I can play a land, and then I believe I can play a card.
Senator Susan Collins, Senator Lisa Murkowski, Senator Mitt Romney,
I haven't played Magic in a long time.
they voted guilty. They said that Trump was guilty of insurrection, guilty of incitement of insurrection, and as a result, they totally disagreed with the conclusion of Mitch McConnell, who basically cited what he called the Constitution, that he was not really eligible for a guilty conviction, even though he did horrible things. So, Dan, we watch all of this unfold, and there's going to be a lot of fallout from all of this. It's significant that 7 Republican senators did vote with all 50 Democrats in favor of a guilty verdict.
It's very significant, and it is the most bipartisan vote in any impeachment history, and we heard that from Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the floor, and the fact that there were 7 Republicans was a bit of a surprise, and we're going to talk about that here with David Chemley and Abby Phillip. But as we discussed that, the fact that there were 7, and the fact that the now Minority Leader Mitch McConnell came out and gave that incredibly powerful speech about how incensed he was, almost sounding as if he was giving a speech after voting to convict. And he wasn't. He was giving a speech after he voted to acquit. Imagine a couple of things. Imagine if he would have given that speech after voting to convict. As a Republican leader, that would have given many more Republicans political cover to vote the same way. And it's not that big of a stretch to think that the 57 could have been 67, and Donald Trump would have been convicted. Instead, what McConnell did was hang it on a process argument, saying that, and he argues that it's a constitutional argument that a former president can't be convicted of impeachment, leaving out the fact that he was still in charge of the Senate when the House voted to impeach then sitting President Trump. And he made very clear he was not going to bring the Senate back to recess, and therefore they have no choice but to have it filed for a former president. I think we should also be clear with folks
should have been foreseeable to him. And the question now is, why didn't he do more? Why didn't he say more? Why didn't he condemn this as early as possible?
Right, and you're saying between election day, or at least the day that CNN and other outlets declared Joe Biden the president-elect, and the day in December 2014 when the electoral college.
Yeah, I know. I don't hear game audio either.
That Joe Biden was going to be the president. You're exactly right. I mean,
Yeah, I got the headset on, and I've got the mic set to the headset.
hallmarks of the Trump era has been
The Mac client for this doesn't let it go full screen. It's complete garbage.
Mr. Donald just did that.
I could try emulating it on Windows.
But just imagine
That would be kind of funny, actually.
if he would have done that November 5th, November 10th, or even.
I mean, I know I can create a capture just for an individual window, but I already had it set up for my other thing.
We won't know. We'll never know the answer to that question, and it is because
I wonder why I don't have audio.
the thing that we heard for at least that month was silence from those who clearly we now know that disagree with the president, and as he called it, the loudest and largest megaphone spewing lies.
Creating
Let's
to
see.
create the political environment that allowed Donald Trump to still march forward with the big lie. Mitch McConnell helped create that environment for a month. I don't know why he thinks he deserves extra credit after the electoral college meant to say, oh, now I can tell you Joe Biden really won the election. We were so far down the road, Donald Trump creating the big lie already at that point.
Let me see if I can kill the game.
And he tries to argue through that, and he's also arguing that they had a whole
Well, right, that would just be, let me restart this first.
that got about 60 acres. So it was a combination of that and.
Oh, so maybe you would have a scene per game you play? Yeah, so far I'm not giving this Magic the Gathering thing a whole lot of points. It was highly recommended by another follower I had breakfast with this morning.